This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain for your startup today. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. AI code generation is moving fast, but quality and confidence, well, they haven't kept pace. The core problem is shared context. Unblocked was built to solve this specific problem. The code review platform is built on the same context senior engineers rely on when reviewing code. The result is fewer comments, higher signal, and reviews teams actually trust. Get a free 3-week trial at getunblocked.com/codestory. That's getunblocked.com/codestory.
So for us as a services company or the execution engine for founders and other people, right, we don't really have code as the MVP. For us, the MVP is the trust. How fast you can actually build the trust is our MVP. And for us, it's not build once and let go of it. Like every new client, you have to build trust. And how quickly you can build trust is what it comes down to. So when it comes to MVP, for us, we have built a system which is like the transparency kind of a game. See, ultimately, we are also people on the other side of the fence. Obviously, we have the skills to build it, but showing the ownership, being in charge of the outcomes rather than, okay, you pay us so much for so much of our time. I am Prashanth Tondapu. I am the founder and CEO of Innostax Tech LLC.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
Took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve more.
I was proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story.
I'm your host, Noah Labhart, and today how Prashanth Tondapu is helping you build your software 1.5 times faster, helping you save 35% on your project budget. Prashanth Tondapu was born and raised in India, now living in New Delhi, the capital there. He claims to be a textbook nerd, loving technology and information. He reads a lot, primarily Eastern philosophy and stuff on being enlightened, basically pointing him to skills and accepting reality. He's married with 2 girls, 9 and 4 years old, along with a Labrador and a German Shepherd. He says that having 3 girls in the house means he has 3 supreme leaders. Prashanth has worked for companies in the past focused on products, companies like McAffee and the Advisor Board Company. Outside of that, he started to build product after product, but no one wanted to buy said products. Eventually, he was tasked to advise a company in product delivery, which then changed everything. This is the creation story of Innostax.
Innostax is a software implementation process engine, which is built around software developers basically. In plain terms, it's a software consulting company. But how it got built is a very interesting story. I never wanted to do consulting. My first job was with McAffee. I was part of their antivirus team and all. And I always loved products. And after that, I worked with a company called Advisory Board Company, which was also into products. And I obviously wanted to build something cool, and not knowing, obviously, as a software developer, you don't really have a domain as such, right? And like I worked in medical, I worked in security and stuff like that. But I was open to doing whatever, but something new. And that is where I started building some products. And being a software guy with marketing experience and stuff like that, you know how it goes. You sit in your own room, imagine what the world needs, and you build it. You spend 1 month heads down, build it. I did that 2 or 3 times and tried whatever marketing I understood. Got like 10,000 flyers printed, stood outside the buildings and trying to give them flyers so that they can use it and stuff like that. Nothing worked. Like almost 2 or 3 months I was trying to do this, building everything, then going over there. Nobody wanted the product. Then there was one guy who said he mentors SaaS founders. So I thought probably he'll teach me something which I do not know. And I went and met him. Apparently he was mentoring a couple of other companies. And he said, oh, so you're a tech guy. So one of the companies that I'm mentoring needs some help. Can you help them with that? So I went there and they told me I'll have to take over as the director of engineering and stuff like that. There were 2 other guys. It was a very small company. The guys were not able to deliver the way I thought they would deliver. So I ended up coding the whole thing. Then that's when I realized, okay, so I get paid for my time. That's how I realized that I could do this as a job. So that is when I started reaching out to all the people that I had worked with before in the US. And that's how consulting journey started. Like it was a 1-person team to begin with.
So let's dive into that, maybe that 1-person team then. So, I asked questions on this show about MVPs. That sounds like an MVP for Innostax, right? So that first version of what you were bringing to life with Innostax. Tell me about that and how long it took you to create and bring up and erect, and what sort of tools you're using to bring it to life.
So for us as a services company or the execution engine for founders and other people, right? We don't really have code as the MVP. For us, the MVP is the trust. How fast you can actually build the trust is our MVP. And for us, it's not build once and let go of it. Like every new client, you have to build trust. And how quickly you can build trust is what it comes down to. So when it comes to MVP, for us, we have built a system which is like the transparency kind of a game. See, ultimately, we are also people on the other side of the fence. Obviously, we have the skills to build it, but showing the ownership, being in charge of the outcomes rather than, okay, you pay us so much for so much of our time. So that is where our MVP is, building trust as soon as possible. The tools are being super honest about it, obviously like sharpening your skills and be there. Make execution so boring for the founders, right? Or like the people who are in charge that they don't have to think about it. So that is basically our MVP.
Tell me about a decision or a trade-off you had to make with that first MVP and focus on trust, right? Maybe you had to approach the problems that you're delivered in a specific way, right? To make sure that trust was established. Tell me about that and how you coped with those decisions.
So the hard decision was always saying no. In the sense, obviously everybody wants to scale, but we have always put as a company value, right? We have put trust above the scale. And there were many times where we did not feel confident that we could actually take on stuff and we had to say no. So that was a big thing because like coming from a tech background and not knowing business as business, you try to think in first principles as much as you can. And even though first principles said say no, but all the business stuff that you build up in your head wants you to say yes and build a parachute and while you figure it out and stuff like that, which I don't believe in. So that's the hardest thing. What I had to say is no. Obviously, we are people. We have screwed up more than once. And every time we screwed up, we said sorry, obviously, and compensated in whatever way we can and brought up a new process so that it never happens again. Like making mistake once is okay, but second time is not acceptable kind of a thing what you have built. One toughest part that comes with this is as a founder, you tend to take everything personally. Every mistake is your mistake. And to like detach from that also has been a big thing. Okay, as a company, we are going to make mistakes. That's okay. And stepping back, that was also one of the toughest things that personally I had to do.
Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains. And this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. Okay, let's move forward then. So you've got that version, right, of Innostax launched, and you're running and you're getting trust. You're gaining that trust and you're executing well. You're making execution boring for the founders, right? You're achieving that. How did you progress and mature Innostax? And I think what I kind of liken that question to is like a roadmap for your company, right? How did you build that? How did you decide that, okay, this is the next most important thing to do for Innostax?
So that was pretty organic, Noah. What I have seen basically is I always assumed and imagined that you have to plan on how you are supposed to grow. And okay, this is my 5-year milestone, 20-year milestone and stuff like that. So vision, that part is right. But when it comes to scaling, right, what I have realized is it is mostly adjusting to the demand. So for us, scale has always been around like adjusting to the demand and not really planning for it per se. So one of the things is like deliberately, like we are not really heavily marketed kind of company. Whatever we have grown, we are 80 plus developers right now, and we have grown completely organically. We do not have recently we have started doing some activities which our CMO thinks we should be doing. And CMO is also pretty new for the company, by the way. So whatever we have scaled organically, in the sense like through referrals, clients referring somebody else and they referring somebody else, that's how we have grown.
How did you build your team, right? And I understand there's an organic nature about expansion, right? And those things, but what did you look for in those people to indicate that they were the winning horses to join you?
So I've had a lot of losing horses, probably the ones that pulled our carriage back also, to be honest. In the beginning, I did not know. I started the company when I was 27. So I did not know much. Even in the company that I was working with, I never hired before. So I never really knew. All the 7 first hires of Innostax were fired probably in 15 days. I realized it's not working. Then I found a couple of guys who were like me. Like earlier, I used to try to hire for skill based on what I thought was required. Then I started looking for people who had similar traits like me. Then somewhere a very wise line I've heard which said that the company is basically an extension of the founder. It has the traits of the founder. So the people that came on board later and like really progressed were people who were similar to me in a way. My entire exec team, they joined here as people fresh out of college. Like my CTO, my COO, and all those main guys are all from there. And like we built it together. Like even I was figuring out how to be a CEO. They also figured out how to be the CTO, and that's how the team was organically built. Then once we found out what the process was, the process evolved. Actually, it emerged out of the fog as in how we were hiring more. So we tried hiring for IQ. We have an IQ test for people. Then we look for alignment more than skill. Like they align with our values. That is a huge priority. So when we hire right now, it is more around like after 3 or 4 interviews, The people who interviewed, even one guy says no, it's a no. That's our very strict hiring criteria.
This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. There's a good chance you've already tried a few AI code review tools, and you're probably ignoring most of their comments. Not because AI can't review code, but because it's missing context. Most AI reviewers focus on surface-level issues, style nits, obvious refactors, or restating what's already clear from the diff. Meanwhile, the things you actually care about, like whether a change violates an earlier architectural decision or quietly duplicates existing logic, go unnoticed. That's the problem Unblocked is built to solve. Unblocked's AI code review is grounded in decision-grade context, prior PRs, design discussions, documentation, and system-level constraints, the same context senior engineers rely on when reviewing code. Teams using Unblocked report fewer comments, higher signal, and automated reviews they actually trust, enough that many have turned off other review tools entirely. Even if you've already written off AI code review, Unblocked is worth a look. Get a free 3-week trial at getunblocked.com/codestory. That's getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. With Innostax, as you step out on the balcony, look across all that you've built and created with this company and how you're delivering software, you're executing so well. What are you most proud of?
So again, I'm a big follower of Advait, right? Like things fall into place. Earlier, in the beginning, like the ego went high. I felt like I'm the guy who is such a amazing guy who thought of so many things and built it. But now I'm matured enough to understand that it was all incidental in a way. It's a series of events of cause and effect. Like every moment in front of you took like billions of years to form is my kind of approach. So I have stopped feeling extremely proud of what is being built because it's a living organism in a way. Company builds itself based on the people that it brings in and all that. But the biggest thing that I feel really good about is how I have grown as an individual. It is like you're thrown into so many things which are uncertain, you do not know, and the feeling of control that you actually feel in the beginning because you got some small amount of success and all that. But slowly as you progress, you end up actually believing that you had nothing to do with that. Everybody was doing their part and stuff like that. And so I feel pretty calm in my head, much more than what I used to feel before, much less confident in myself than what I used to feel before. But that's a good thing because that has made me a lifelong learner in a sense and being more open to ideas, more listening than speaking and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
So we have made a ton of mistakes, like a lot of hiring mistakes we have made. And like hiring mistakes, I'll talk about one or two. So one first is the hiring mistakes. Basically, the services company are only as good as the people that you have. So the mistakes that you make will affect the client in some way or the other, and we have to fix it and stuff. We like fire pretty quickly. Like once we know that we have to let go of that person, we make it right by that person in terms of monetary compensation or giving them time to figure out what their next piece of life is. But we will not let our client suffer because of our hiring mistakes. So we will let the client know that, see, anyways, it's a mistake, so you don't have to pay over here, and we deal with that separately and stuff. And couple of times what has happened is, again, like human errors have occurred and stuff like that, and we have owned up to it, and we compensate for that in some way or the other. So there was one client interview that I got it done through a third-party agency so that we can understand what actually our client feels about us. There, one client made a statement saying that those guys proactively put off for the time which they thought they did not meet their own standards, which I felt was really gold, and that made my day basically. So that actually is how we are trying to build the company.
Let's move forward then. This will be fun. What does the future look like for Innostax, for what you offer as a company, for how you go about executing on that software, and for the team?
My goal is only one thing. Software development should be as boring as possible. Like somebody hires us, they should not even turn back to see what is going on. It's such a boring thing. It's so predictable, so boring that people do not have to think twice once they hire us. That is the ultimate goal for the company. So if we have to compromise scale for it, that is fine. But that is what we want to be as a brand, like going into the future.
Let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to, and why.
So I have always favored execution over idea, because the people that I really look up to do not show up too much because they are not in the limelight. Like I am a boring person myself and wants to keep things predictable and stuff like that. So whenever I meet people who are investing in their processes and looking everything objectively and stuff like that, they are my heroes basically. And there are many of them behind the scenes who do not appear like big media figures and stuff like that. So here I got our interior done through a guy over here. He has a company and stuff. Like building custom software is like building a custom home. And everything is unpredictable. Like you don't know when what is going to happen and stuff like that. So for us, we are trying to build everything very predictable. So if A happens, then B happens, then C happens. So that like the waterfall kind of approach. So this guy is from one of the best universities here in India, and he built his company, and he was like a mechanical engineer or something, but he was so much into furniture and how comfortable you can make it and all that. That guy actually did the interiors for my home. I think he's a hero. Like he's extremely boring. He has a process. You ask him, okay, I want more this, then there is a very good process. Like even creativity, he has created it into a process, which I thought is like new. So he's a hero in a way for me.
Last question, Prashanth. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give them, having gone down this road a bit and starting Innostax?
I'll not give too much advice because he's already living his journey in a way. And ultimately for founders, it is a journey. Like obviously when you go through it, like even something that I tell him what will happen 5 years later will not make any sense to him. You have to be ready to get that sort of advice. So I would just say be enthusiastic about it. There will be bad days, but know that the better days are coming. I'll tell him to be resilient enough and just do not lose trust, because everybody goes through the same thing, and just keep doing what he is doing with whatever clear objectives or goals, why he's doing it, and not to forget why he started the company to begin with. Don't run after KPIs and numbers and pleasing somebody else. Just stick to your core on what you wanted to deliver and keep delivering that.
I think that's fantastic advice. Well, Prashanth, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of Innostax.
Thanks, Noah. Thank you very much for having me here, and it was great chatting with you.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.